Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I am Mark. That's Ryan. Hi Ryan.
Hey,
Um, Opening this week from A24, perhaps our favorite studio.
can be, sure.
Um, and not to be confused with Apple TV Plus, which might be our favorite streaming service. Neither of whom are sponsors. Um, Death of a Unicorn, which the title itself was intriguing.
Sure.
Um, Written by a guy named Alex Sharfman, whose work I'm not familiar with. Although
He's mostly worked as a producer and whatnot. Um,
he directed Passing Through, which was a short, and he helped write some other shorts. So this is his first feature. We'll
yes.
call it that. Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Ted Leone, Richard E. Grant, Will Poulter. These are our major players here. Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega are father-daughter on the way to a very expensive, very rich people's house to do some business, which isn't really understood at the beginning, that Paul Rudd is going to do for them. But they hit with their rental car the titular unicorn, resulting in its titular death. Or does it? Actually, it does. Of course, what you would think to do is not drag the dead body off the road. It's to throw it in the back of your rental car and continue driving to the house of the family that owns a huge pharmaceutical company to do whatever business you're going to do. This is it's fun. It's a fun movie, but we'll get into it. I don't think it's a particularly good movie. I don't think it's as well done as it should have been with the pieces they have. We both try not to go into these things with too much stuff beforehand. And I had seen a trailer when I took my wife to a movie. That's the only reason I'd seen a trailer for it at all. So that was all I knew. But I feel like there's more to this movie than we got. I don't know how you felt going in and coming out.
All I knew was a couple cast members and that it had gotten a warm reception at South by Southwest.
But South by Southwest is that's an unusual festival.
Well, and I've talked to other critics about this, and we've probably talked about it as well. When you're at a festival, sometimes you get festival brain.
Yeah.
And so just the atmosphere of being at a festival, being the first to see a movie sort of thing, can impact the way that you view a film. So, it's obviously if, good buzz is better than no buzz. But for those of us who've been to festivals and have kind of over the years, it doesn't mean it's the greatest thing coming. But I didn't know really much going in, to be honest.
So how did it play out for you?
Well, I think there are bits and pieces where it's not nearly as smart as it could be, and there are fairly easy ways to work around that. But I think generally, yes, fun. I think the performances are generally over the top in the way that they need to be. I don't think it takes itself too seriously. I think that generally speaking, it's an enjoyable film. Could it have been better with a couple tweaks? Yeah. There are, Jenna Ortega's character is smart most of the time, but dumb when it's kind of convenient for the script.
Yep.
Which I think they could have worked with that a little bit. And yes, getting the unicorn up to the residency, there was maybe some ways to make a little more sense. But generally speaking, the story is generally, well, it's sort of based off of a series of tapestries that really exist, and the story of those tapestry, or the story that the tapestries tell, and then they've just taken that story and kind of shifted it into the modern world.
Yep.
and so I think for me it's enjoyable and it's entertaining, um, enough that I'll overlook some of the things that maybe don't work nearly as well as they should. Um, and it's surprisingly gory towards the end.
Well,
Um,
to be fair, the first death is actually pretty gory. My wife
well,
was
yes.
not pleased with that. And I don't want to
Well,
ruin it because it's a shock.
sure, and
So
but everything's fine. It's all
yeah,
fine.
well
Everything's
yeah,
good. Anyway, there's definitely a dark sense of humor at play throughout this film.
yes. But I think my problem is that it couldn't commit to being a dark comedy. Sometimes it was just a comedy, and it's like, and it wasn't dark enough all the time
Could be.
to you know what I mean. It kind of falls in this weird hole
Yeah,
of
I think if they had fixed a couple script things, um, it would have made it over that hurdle from something that's enjoyable into something that's enjoyable and really quite good.
yeah.
Um,
I used the word undercooked.
yeah,
There's little pieces of this that are
sure.
undercooked,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
like
like,
I said,
oh
yeah, I mean, there's a few things here and there that probably one additional rewrite would have evened out a bit. Um, and that's unfortunate, and because it feels so close, sometimes it's hard not to just stare at those two or three moments that could have been handled slightly differently.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple ways around a couple things in there. Particularly the transportation of the creature could have been done in a slightly different way, but probably not as humorous as it plays out there.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could have. I don't. There are different things going on, but there's a satire element of the upper class and
Yeah,
um,
it's got a little class
pharmaceuticals.
warfare. It's got a little
Yeah,
capitalist warfare.
yeah,
Um, it borrows a little bit from Jurassic Park. It borrows a little bit from, ironically, Tommy Boy. Um, at the beginning of that. Um, but you're right. The cast, the big five in the cast. Paul Rudd's like the only outlier. Like he should not be in an A24 movie.
but
But like the
why
other
not?
four, even Taya Leone. God, I'd forgotten about Taya Leone till this movie.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
why do we not have more Taya Leone on this world?
yeah.
But she fits. Richard E. Grant. It's like they gave him this role of the dying matriarch or
Yes,
patriarch of the pharmaceutical type family, rich, theoretically philanthropic,
yes.
and he does what Richard E. Grant does, which is just chew on it,
Hmm.
and it's entertaining from start to to finish. Um, Taya Leone's kind of the power behind the throne. We talked about Mickey 17,
Yeah,
and the Mark Ruffalo
sure,
and
sure.
and Tony Collette. It's a similar dynamic, but neither one of them is stupid. They're both
Yes.
really highly intelligent. They might be evil
Or
or
yes, or
morally ambiguous,
yes.
but
Self,
but
self. Yeah.
they are not stupid by any stretch of the imagination. But like I said, it's great. Richard E. Grant just dives in and just chews on it all the entire movie. And even Will Poulter, who with Paul the why is Paul Rudd in an A24 movie question aside,
Mm.
even Will Poulter doesn't really. He's not a weak link. He plays the role of their son, the rich, entitled.
Yes,
I want to. I want to be successful by doing as little as possible.
yes. And I want to
Um,
be, but still, I want to be acknowledged for what little I do.
right, exactly. So he doesn't let it down. It's great. Their manservant Griff
Hmm.
is played by a guy named Anthony Carrigan. He's great. One of Richard Grant's doctors, Sunita Mani, she's great. It's just even all the little pieces work, and the movie should be far better than it is with all of this, and that's what's disappointing. It's still enjoyable. It's a fun romp
Yeah.
through this cryptozoological little corner of the world that we find ourselves in. But it could have been so much better. And if it's even marginally better, this becomes a cult movie.
Yeah, and it
More than a
still
mainstream
might.
hit.
It still might. But yes, there are little things throughout. That I would probably play with a little bit.
Yeah. But there's even the supernatural. There's even a supernatural element, but we're talking
Yeah.
about unicorns. So there's this
Yeah.
magical supernatural element thing going on, and even that's what sucks. Like none of the things that we're talking about are bad.
No,
They
no,
just don't quite fit together, and it's like,
well, and there are aspects of it that aren't developed either.
yeah,
And I don't know that the movie has to develop certain aspects, but something, you know,
yeah,
there are things that aren't addressed that not all of them need to be, but some of them maybe do,
yep.
regarding this particular forest. And
It's a wildlife preserve. It is actually a
yes,
preserve.
yes,
So it is what it is. But you're right. There's no, it exists, but it seems to exist independent of the existence of a unicorns.
yes.
So it
So
just
yeah,
happens to be. It's just weird.
there's a little
It's,
world building that maybe could have happened that
yeah.
didn't. Again, a couple decisions by characters that maybe you look at a little, and change.
Yep.
I do love the a lot of the servants, and the kind of no. I'm hired to do this.
Right.
I'm not hired to, that's not my job.
Yeah. But I'm rich, so you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, you know. So
Yes.
yeah, it is interesting. A lot of the unicorn mythology is there. You
Mm.
know, the maiden, the this, the that, the other thing. It's like I said, all the pieces are right there.
Yeah,
It's
and I mean, I
so close.
I do I am kind of fascinated by the fact that no one's really done a movie like this, in the sense of, taken a the what interpretation and folklore of a piece of art,
Yeah.
and built around it in this way,
Right.
particularly like of a tapestry sort of thing. So I was kind of kicking myself, because it seems simple.
Yeah.
Take one of the stories of these whimsical, you know,
Theoretically
tapestries, and
whimsical.
whatever,
Yeah.
and build something out of it. And it seems very simplistic and very obvious, but I don't think that's been done. So to that end, I was kind of excited by that as well. It's one, when it comes out, I may see again. Um, just to I know someone who wants to see it, so we'll
There
see. We'll
you
see.
go. So there you go. That's Death of a Unicorn. It's definitely worth seeing.
Yes.
Don't let the negatives put you off, but it's definitely worth seeing. It opens this Friday, the 28th of March. So we've got more stuff to talk about. We've got more movies opening, and we will be talking about those when it happens. But until then, don't forget to like us and follow us on social media. Share us with your friends. Go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com, and you'll get links to all of that good stuff, including all of the audio and all of the written reviews as well. So until we talk to you again, stay safe, be good, go see a good movie. I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
Hey, folks.
And we will talk to you all later.